Hey everybody, it's Rich at RMAutodiag, and today we're having a look at a transit with loss of power. Okay, just before we get started, again I'd like to thank all my new subscribers for following along. If you're not a subscriber, then hit the button below and the bell for the notifications, but let's get into it and fix some cars. So as I said, we have a Ford Transit. It's got a loss of power. So we've got it plugged in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to select error memory and see what codes we've got. So just click continue. We have no error codes. And now when we drive this down the road, it doesn't rev up over about 2000 RPM. There's no power to it. No lights come on. It's just generally flat, underpowered, doesn't go very well. So what we can do is, I guess we'll have a look at some values and see where we're going to start. I've had this running for a bit, so we're going to expect some of it to be sort of warmed up temperatures and stuff like that. So we'll make sure we've got a good battery, sensor supplies, coolant temperature, intake air. Won't let me do many more. Alright, let's have a look at those first. Okay, so we've got good battery voltage, got 5 volts on our sensor supplies, which is good. Coolant temperature 87, as I say, it's been running, so that's good. Air intake is 43 degrees. It is quite warm today, not 43 degrees warm, but it is obviously under the bonnet with it running. Okay, so let's get rid of some of them, they look good. Alright, what else have we got? Okay, fuel, we didn't do the charge air. Too worried about engine oil, manifold pressure. I'll go for DPF pressure, that could cause some issues. Air mass, see what that's doing. Fuel pressure, can't do it, too many selected. Okay, so let's have a look at these ones. Okay, charge air temperature sensor 38 degrees, so that's pretty close to the intake air, so we're not too worried about that. I think the one that definitely stands out on here is the fuel temperature at 142 degrees C, which definitely does not sound right. Intake manifold pressure at about a bar, that sounds reasonable for tickover. DPF pressure is 7 millibar, that's absolutely fine, I would have said. Air mass at 32 kilograms per hour, I wouldn't have said that's too far away either. Obviously we can make sure that some of these go up. So that's it, limited at about 2200. So we got some movement on the intake manifold pressure there down the bottom, and the DPF pressure, but still not going that high, and the air mass has gone up as well. So I think before we go too much further, we need to address this fuel temperature sensor issue. So let's go under the bonnet and have a look. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're under the bonnet, and we can see that our fuel temperature sensor voltage is at 0.3 of a volt. So what we're going to do is unplug it, and we expect that to go straight up to 5 volts. As you'll probably know from my coolant temperature sensor video, if you want to watch that, I'll put it in a card above. So when we unplug, we should see that give it 5 volts, and I'm assuming we'll see a change in temperature sensor value. So the temperature sensor is this one down here, straight on the fuel pump, 2-wire sensor. So we'll get it disconnected. So that's it, completely disconnected. And we'll go back to the screen. As you can see, it's gone straight up to that 5 volt, and our fuel temperature has gone to 40 degrees. So we know that there is a change there. The ECU is picking something up, so that's a pretty good test. What I will do is we'll go back to it and we'll confirm on what temperature it actually is. So if I get the light down there, and what I'll do is I'll get the thermal imager and we'll turn that on. We'll see what actual temperatures we've got here. So we can get it in shot. So, pointing down there, see if I can get a better shot. So this is pointing roughly on the temperature sensor, and it's showing about 40 degrees there. Obviously you can see some of these other pipes and stuff that are hotter. This is all the coolant sensor, the coolant pipes. So back down here we're all about 40 degrees. So we know it's definitely not 140 degrees in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bypass test on the plug and see if we can change the temperature readings, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got a decade box, the eBay special, and we've got that set at 4,000 ohms. And we've got it probed into the plug here, and we're going to see what the ECU response is. And as you can see, we have 3.45 volts, 25 degrees C. So if I change this up to say 5,000, we should see a change there. Yeah, so we've gone to 21. If I change it to 6, we've dropped down to 17. So we know that we've got good control on it. We know that it's not supposed to be 140 degrees, so I think we can quite confidently put a temperature sensor in there. If you really wanted to, you can put your multimeter down there and make sure that that 5 volt feed is there, but we're quite confident because it tells us on the scan tool, and that's processed data, so we can be quite confident with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it for a quick drive down the road with it disconnected up like this, and see if we've got our power back, and if we do, then we'll make the call on the sensor and get one put in, and that should be all done. Okay, so that is the video for today, and hopefully you found this informative. You can get your transit fixed, as I say. A few simple tests, just checking through the live data. So thanks for watching the video. Cheers.